Leadership isn't just changing, it's evolving in ways we're only just beginning to imagine. And women, we're not playing this game anymore. We're the ones reshaping the entire field, building models, movements, and businesses that serve more than just a few. On the She Leads podcast, you'll hear real conversations with women who've broken through all kinds of barriers: revenue, identity, borders, and expectations. There's no sugarcoating here, just the truth, told by those who are living it. I'm Adrienne Garland, entrepreneur, strategist, educator, and creator of live experiences, gathering women leaders together for over a decade. And this is the She Leads podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the She Leads podcast. Before I introduce you to our next guest, I'd like to ask you to do something for me. I'd like you to just take 2 minutes and give the show a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify. This is so important for the show's visibility and the visibility of each and every one of our guests. The women on this show take their time to share their journeys, wisdom, and lessons with all of you so you can go further, faster, wealthier, and with more ease. So if you're interested in seeing more successful women leaders and entrepreneurs in this world, like I am, please take this easy step to support women everywhere. Thank you so much in advance for helping to share our incredible show with more people. Now, on to my next guest. Her name is Diane Strand, and she's an award-winning serial entrepreneur, marketer, and TEDx speaker that helps entrepreneurs turn their creative passions into profitable businesses. And she did that with her own business, JDS Productions. It's a 7-figure media company creating engaging video content for organizations, people, and products. She's also the co-founder of JDS Actors Studio, which has launched over 100 mainstream actors and producers. And she's also the co-founder of a nonprofit organization, JDS Creative Academy, which works with mainstream, foster, and at-risk youth, as well as special needs adults to provide career pathway opportunities in visual, performing, and digital arts. Diane has a rich and deep background in production. She's worked for famous shows that you've all heard of, such as General Hospital, Friends, and for the Walt Disney Company. And if that's not quite enough, Diane is the author of a mindset leadership book called Creative Preneur, which details critical entrepreneurial steps such as creating business concepts, establishing your entity, working through challenges, and how to leverage your money and marketing for success. Diane is an award winner, including 10 Telly Awards, 7 Communicator Awards, and 2 Anthem Awards, as well as Standout Business in San Diego and Riverside counties, and the 2021 Nonprofit of the Year by the Temecula. I always have a little trouble getting that out. The Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce. I cannot wait to share all of your wisdom and expertise with the She Leads podcast audience. Welcome to our show, Diane.
Wow, thank you. Well, you either did your research, you dug deep with numbers and different things. Wow, thank you.
Well, I am just so excited to be able to speak with you. You are highly accomplished, and I think that everybody listening can really learn a lot from so many different aspects of what you have done. And I can't wait to get into all of that. But I always like to, of course, start at the beginning. How did you get into this world of production?
Well, it didn't start yesterday. It started a long, long time ago. And there's a great quote by Steve Jobs. He says, "You can't connect your dots looking forward. You have to look back and trust that they will connect in the future." And so it's very clear why I am where I am and what I'm doing. But, that first dot really shows up for me Actually, two really big dots show up for me all the way back in second grade when all I wanted to do was play Betsy Ross in the school play. And everyone told me at that time, maybe you shouldn't, or don't try, you can't really read so well. And it turns out I am dyslexic.
Mm.
And I also have something called tenacity. And when people tell me don't or you shouldn't, I say, watch me. And next thing you know, I did get the role of Betsy Ross in the school play. And, the connection to the arts and being in the plays kept me connected to school all the way, ensured that I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And then even going back to that second grade moment, there was a candy selling contest and for a fundraiser, and whoever sold the most candy in the school would win this 19-inch black and white TV. And
Wow.
besides dating myself, which I just did, I really wanted that TV. And so I enlisted help with my parents and whomever. And in a school of K through 6, this little second grader sold the most candy in the whole school. And I won that TV, and I still work in TV today. So, and I fundraise and I do all the things. So it's pretty clear why I am where I am. And the dots continue to connect. It's all about the arts. It's all about how the arts impact life and business and how
Mm.
it really affected and changed my life. And that's what I do and teach today.
Oh my goodness. I love that second grade you knew maybe she wasn't able to sort of, articulate it, but she knew exactly who she was going to be in the future. And that's so remarkable. I really, really enjoyed that story. Thank you so much for sharing it. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. So I could not agree with you more that the arts, especially now, is more important than ever before. I mean, I actually teach at NYU in the Tisch Center for Hospitality, and we're constantly talking about, where is the line with efficiency and humanity? And, the media just portrays the fact that AI is going to take over every single thing, and it's just not the case. And I've had some conversations lately too, even with some podcast guests about AI. I think does a very good, maybe even an excellent job at taking away a lot of menial tasks. And that's going to actually be beneficial to people because it's going to force us back into maybe our second grade selves and how creative we used to be. So I think that's something that, especially as entrepreneurs, especially as women entrepreneurs, growing businesses, scaling them past a million, I think it's something that we need to learn how to, and I hate the word lean in, but like it's something that we need to really embrace so much more. So, can you talk about how in your work today, because I know that you help entrepreneurs and you do so many different things. But one of the things that you are super passionate about is helping, entrepreneurs find their creativity and use that in business. So can you talk about how we can all be more creative and how that can lead to business success?
Sure. Well, creativity and the arts, they touch everything. They touch every single industry that is out there. And when you really go back to that basic, simple foundation of it, when you think about how it's how we learn, it's how we teach, it's how we market, it's how we communicate, it's how we share. Storytelling is the groundwork and the foundation of everything. You need to step outside your comfort zone, start before you're ready. These are not euphemisms, these are things that are really learned by the art. You
Mm.
need to be prepared. but do it anyways and get up there scared. And that's getting on stages. That's increase, today it's increasing visibility, but in a business, it's increasing, in life when you're going through these practices in the arts. Nobody's saying that you have to go, be a muralist or an actor or even a writer, but yet every day we are doing those same tasks in our life. When we go network, when we tell a story, write a social media post, we need to be these creative individuals. So that's what I tell my creatives, is that as a creative, you need a little bit more structure and strategy so you can pull that business into it. Because if you're going to be an actor, be an actorpreneur. If you're going to be a writer, be a writerpreneur. But the other is true. If you are a business, you need more creativity so you can market, leverage, and scale and communicate and share and be more visible and step into the spotlight and do the things. Because if you're the best kept secret, then you're not going to ever get to where you want to go. And then you're not even doing your job. It's your job to share, because if you're the best kept secret, then what kind of service are you providing to the world if nobody
Mm,
knows that you're there? Because there is enough business to go around for everyone, but
mm.
it's the people that don't see you that you can't serve. So, it used to be, they used to always say, who do you know? But it's really who knows you, right?
Yeah.
That's really the difference today. It's not who you know, it's who know you. It's like, we know who Oprah is, right?
Right.
But does Oprah know who you are?
Yeah.
That is really the difference. And she's just one person, and, but she has great visibility. So
Yes.
that's the difference. That's why we know who she is. So that's the visibility that we have to go to and strive to, and that takes the tools of the arts to get us there. And that
Yes.
really is the pathway and the foundation.
Yeah, I think the challenge for so many people is that the social media um forces us, or at least in the past, I think we're all waking up to the fact that we don't need to, be picture perfect, whatever that means. But I think social media pushed us into this place that we had to be very curated and have that sort of perfect image. And I think that really scared a lot of people away from showing up on social media, because they looked at what was being promoted and what was out there and what was getting the attention. And earlier on, the thing that really got the attention was these perfect pictures of these women entrepreneurs running around on beaches with these, multi-million dollar perfect homes and kitchens and everything. And, maybe they looked around and they said, I just, I'm not that. And so again, like another one of these, messages, I'm not worthy as a woman to show up exactly how I am and who I am. And I think that if we can, I do think that the tides have shifted, and that more people are looking for more genuine, normal type of imagery. And can you speak to that? Because I think that's the thing that has held people back from being able to be more visible.
Yeah, no, I think today we're in this micro brand world. We are very tribal today. We do business with people we know, like, and trust. And so authenticity is the real key to really building a community today and putting that out there. So that is what's going to keep you real and authentic, is talking with your community and your tribe and showing up who you are as you are, and then doing what it is that you say that you do. If that is who you are, you are really going to go far in this world. It's not about perfection, and there is no such thing as perfection. You got to start before you're ready. You got to make your mess your message, and you have to be you and do you and share your story. And if you are sharing from your heart, and this is where I always say the art is in the heart. That
Mm.
is, if when that is happening, it is really moving through you, and you just talk about what you know. And that's what I do. Is I am not by no means, trying to teach rocket science and brain surgery and all of those things. I am, a dyslexic woman who has raised three children, three businesses, led from my heart, believe in creativity, and, being smart and strategic. Lots of left and right turns along the way, lots of pivots and shifts. But, when I believe in myself, and that is really what it is, I call it pack your own parachute. Trust
Mm.
yourself. If
Mm.
I pack my parachute, I know when I jump, that thing is going to open. I
Yeah.
may hit and scrape myself on a couple rocks going down, or, it could be a rough landing, but that parachute is going to open. I trust myself. I know that I am doing what it takes. I truly believe in hope. Help one person every day. And
Mm.
then if you want a dream to become a reality, you need that dream to have direction. You need to realize the hard work that it's going to take to make that dream a reality. You
Mm.
have to engineer it. You really have to reverse engineer it, because if you want to be somewhere a year from now, what do you need to be doing today to make
Yeah.
that year from now a reality? And, if that goal is to make $1 million in a year, well, at 6 months, which is almost June, right? You
Mm.
better be at least, $500,000. And what do you need to do today to make sure you're hitting that smaller milestone? You
Yeah.
have to pack those in. So that's the engineering. But all of that needs action and accountability.
Mm.
That's the A in the dream: action and accountability. And then you will start building the momentum. The dream needs momentum to become a reality, and then you can ride that to the win.
Yeah. So what type of advice when you work with companies that are, in that sort of growth phase? Because so many women that listen to the show, I mean, I think that everybody would agree with you, right? They were able to get to a certain point in their business, and as we were talking about maybe before the podcast started, maybe some women did, as they were growing their businesses, they didn't even think that they were gonna get to that $1 million mark, and we talk about that $1 million mark not like it's, this like ultimate goal to achieve, but rather, at those higher revenue numbers, that there are expenses that need to be covered. But we always want to get to a place of profitability, because when there's so much research that supports when women have access to capital, when women have access to wealth, we do things that proactively help our families and communities, the world, the environment. And, we just need more of that in the world, which is like why I'm hell bent on, making sure that women are starting these businesses that have impact, but also that put profit back in their pockets. Yeah, go out and have fun and buy all the beautiful things that you want. I'm not against that, but once we get to that point, we take that money and we do such great things with it. And women are so thoughtful about where they put their resources. And for so long, those resources have just been, pulled away from us. So I wonder, for women that are growing businesses, maybe they're not at the $1 million mark, maybe they're beyond it and they're figuring out, how do I 10x this? How do I get this to the next level? How can some of the work that you do beyond just the mindset work, but from a strategic point of view, how can they, implement some of these more creative type of strategies to get to that next level?
Well, sure. I there's a funny saying: If you think money can't buy happiness, you haven't given enough of it away." Um,
Mm,
so, I truly believe in building wealth and not cash flow. So, cash flow is meant to come and go.
mm,
You have to define your success. What does success mean for you? And
mhm.
what are you looking at? Right? Success can mean a whole bunch of different things. It can be a dollar sign. It can be, I only want to work so many hours a day. I want
Right.
to travel so much. I want to go do, now I'm in a different phase. I'm in a legacy phase. I'm going to Kenya and bringing the arts around the world and doing different things. So, what does success kind of look like? And that's how you can start to define where you're at and what is it going to take to get you to that mark. And so, you know the money barriers are really a mindset thing. That's
Mhm.
why if you kind of really look at, and I had to look at, I used to, you know try and penny pinch every penny and dime and nickel as I was going through and stress about that in the beginning of entrepreneurship
Of
of,
course.
I can't, how do we do that? But then as I started looking, and I started looking at, what do I need to build my wealth? What do I need to pay my bills? And then the rest of it, I don't need it. It's for something else. It's for someone else. It's for learning. It's for a tool. It's for that. Get into a coaching program and do all of that. And then when I started really getting clear on that, the cash flow came more in abundance, and
Yeah.
I was able to then do more with it because I stopped worrying about it. And even if I was a little short on the cash flow and I needed to borrow from somewhere else because it was wealth minded and going to get me further, or it was something that I could delay on with something else and I could do it. And I took that risk because I trusted myself that if
Mm,
I was going to join something or be in a group or spend the extra money or go lay out to do a humanitarian trip or spend it elsewhere, that it was going to come back in spades. And somehow then I started learning how to create $3 out of $1. And it
mhm,
turned into a nonprofit and I started spreading more. And it happened because I let go of the mindset of the nickels and the dimes and the pennies and what happens in 3 weeks when I don't have them to rub together. Well, I'm living today.
mm.
I have prepared for whatever 20, 30, 50 years from now could be. I don't have 50 years left, but, in that
You
sense.
never know.
But as you start thinking about that, you have to, it doesn't do any good waiting for the rainy day that you might not need it. It's going to work better for you if you put it to work for you now. And I learned that, I am saved. I'm not protecting myself. I didn't do that for a while in early entrepreneurship. And when I wasn't saving, I was stressing. I started
Yeah.
saving, I stopped stressing, and then the abundance of the cash flow has come back in 10x.
Yeah. I think this is an area that so many women struggle because of how we're almost programmed from when we're young to, be happy with what we get, to look for the deals. I see this so much in entrepreneurship when women are doing business with other women. We're always asking for the discount, the coupon. It's almost like our badge of honor that we were able to get, three for the price of one when we waited until Wednesday at 2 a.m. to go online and go shopping. You know what I mean? It's like our our superpower is also the thing. that is holding us back, I think, when it comes to business. And it's why the statistics show that, less than, I don't even know what it is, less than 4% of women-owned businesses ever get past that $1 million mark. And it's for a variety of reasons. Some don't want that, which is like completely valid. But more often than not, it's because of the way that we're sort of programmed. So my question to you is, being a creative and being able to tap into, this almost design thinking approach, how can women use some creative tools? If you could, if you would share, some creative tools that women can use to almost reframe or reprogram some of things that have been programmed into us that are holding us back.
Well, I truly believe that, it is a mindset thing. You have to get into the right mindset. And, I'll knock on some wood, is maybe those were some of the things that, weren't some of my challenges that I had to go through in that aspect. Because, if you think I'm expensive, hire an amateur.
Yeah.
It really is, to discount, it's like, do you want me to discount my quality back to you? And I maybe it's the only child syndrome, or, being in a male dominant field like production in the entertainment industry, that, I would just come in all barrels, that precociousness, that kind of came through. But that's the arts. Those are, you asked for the tools. Because I got up on stage scared, knowing my lines or not knowing my lines, I did it anyways, right?
Yeah.
So that's walking into the room, and being seen, being heard, being able to get my point across, and having a little tenacity, that when someone says, "Oh, I don't think maybe you should do that." And I'm like, why is it that he can do it and I can't?
Mhm.
There's nothing different between he and I, except, maybe some anatomy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so in that sense, I've always had that attitude, that I I can be a little feisty. I can, but I lead with kindness. I'm definitely, and I often say, don't take kindness for a mistake of weakness, because those things are not unanimously the same. So,
Yeah.
that it's having confidence, and remember, action comes before the confidence. So
Yeah.
you have to take the action first, and then you build the confidence as you go. And you have to borrow confidence. If I'm confident in one area, sometimes I have to borrow it as I'm entering into a new area, and trust myself that, I can fly a little bit by the seat of my pants, but yet at the same time I'm prepared, right?
Yeah.
That's the prepared performer. I do rehearse, I do show up. If you I arts and athletics are kind of a little of the same. It's like,
Yeah.
think the quarterback, who is the all-star quarterback, does not show up every day for practice and throw 100 footballs through the ring of the tire.
Yeah.
It's over and over, because if you don't practice and rehearse and keep doing what you do, consistency, showing up, saying yes, doing the thing, that's how you get better. That's how you get stronger. That's how you build confidence. That's how you pick yourself back up. That's where the resilience comes from. Because,
Mhm.
in 23 years of business, it has not always been easy. There have been the financial struggles, the famine to feast, the back to famine from the feast. There's been the legal challenges. There's been the bank,
COVID.
all the things, right? It's all happened.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yet, if you just keep thinking, and you don't have to go get yourself in a play, but get creative. You need more money. Where's creative financing going to come from? Right?
Mhm.
How you can make your different buckets work. Do you have buckets? or is it all just
Mhm.
sitting in a pile?
Right. Right.
So, this is where structure and strategy and, I believe in getting a coach. You need a mentor, you need a coach, you need to talk to people who have been there before you, not always 10 years and 100 years. Don't compare yourself. If you're in chapter 1 through 5 and I'm in chapter 23, we're not in the same spot,
Yeah.
right? So you can't compare, but you can emulate. You can definitely look and see, what is this person doing? Maybe that might work for me. Where are they showing up? How are
Mm.
they doing that? You know,
Yeah. I think that what you're talking about is super important, and I also think that it can be very, very challenging for women who are, they have multiple responsibilities. Many of them are in that sandwich generation between taking care of, aging parents, taking care of children, never really having the time to, even think about being bold or think about creating buckets and all of this. And I just hope that everybody listening in is hearing what you're saying about, wait a minute, take some time to do that preparation. Take some time for yourself. Press pause so that you can actually be strategic and thoughtful about where it is that you're going, because we get, through no fault of our own, we get sucked into, the vortex of life, and it's hard to claw our way out of it. And I hear you loud and clear with its mindset, and I think we all know that that's the answer. And at the same time, it's like that very mindset that's required is very, very difficult to shift into if you're in, this vortex that's pulling you down. So, I think that what I'm looking for is, how do we leverage things like play or like improv or, some type of art or getting into nature or something, so that it forces us, or it pulls us out of the vortex and forces us to get back to our creativity, because it's all there. It's inside.
sure. I mean, but that's a daily. That's why you said the mindset. It's a daily thing. We can all go down rabbit holes every single day. So, that's why it's, how do you start your day? Do you get up, and where are you going to? It's a mind shift. Where are you going to shift into? I look at it,
Mhm.
I love the analogy of a car, right? So if you get into the car, you get into the driver's seat. The fear gets into the back seat. You put a seatbelt on it. You tell it that unless you really see me driving off a cliff, you,
Yeah.
you stay
Shut
back
up.
there and be quiet, right? You take control of the radio. So this is where you turn it on. If you need something to lift you up, put on some music. Start dancing, sing, look at mirror work. This is the acting, the improv. In the mirror, you are okay today. Tell yourself, I got you. I got you today. Trust yourself. I got you.
Mm.
Be your own friend. Talk to yourself. This is the mirror work. Do those. Get your body moving, dancing, stretching. If you work out, whatever it is, even if you're a night worker outer, maybe do a couple of, get the blood moving. It's the mind. This is what I'm doing. I'm prepared today. This is what's going. I know it's going to be a busy day. I mean, if you think this is bad, my 10:30 to 11:30 this morning after we finish here, I got three things that I got to figure out how to multitask my way through. And, you know, I'm going to do it. I've already got
Yeah.
it, but I've got a plan in place for it.
Right.
I've got my partner in life and business. I'm like, you have to handle this at this time. I will show up in here and we'll make this happen. I've been planning it because for some reason, I had to make all these things work in this same 1 hour period. I can only be one place. It is a little stressful. I've had to, but I've prepared. That's the prepared performer, right?
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, I'm going to fly a little by the seat of my pants. That's the improv. I'm going to work it through. You had to do that this morning, right?
That's
You
right.
had to improv your way through it. You were hoping that if you led with a little bit of, hey, good morning, and you were in the right mindset, because if you came into that call going, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, I'm this, whatever it was, I might have been like, right? But
Mhm.
you came in positive and friendly and improved your way through it. And I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Cool.
Right?
Thank
So,
you.
I mean, that just changes the whole thing. It's how you look at it. Because we could all look at the trials and tribulations that are happening in that way, and
Mm,
we're either going to suck down the rabbit hole, or we're going to lift ourselves up and we're going to meet the moment,
yeah.
right? Because life is going to life. The phone could ring at any moment with life calling and saying, guess what just happened, right?
Yeah.
We don't know, but are you prepared? Have you done your rehearsal? Do you know what's coming next? How would you pivot? How would you handle that moment in the moment? Right?
Mm,
Because it's going to happen. And we can't always figure it out. We will improv our way through it. But yet at the same time, that's how the resilience that comes with it is those actor moments that, oh my gosh, my scene partner just totally went off book, and we're
yep.
in scene 3 right now, and we're supposed to be doing this. What are we going to do? And
Yes.
how you get through those moments. It's the same thing for life. It's like, oh, that was not in the plan today.
Right. And I love everything that you're talking about because I do think that life is just a big improv stage. And, for almost anybody to think that other people have it all figured out, that is the biggest fallacy of all. So I think that there's also a little bit of take the pressure off of you. You do not have to show up perfectly, especially if you are prepared and that your heart is in the right place and that you know that you have the tools and the expertise and the desire to almost learn your way through it. I think that is almost the artist's way, and that does, and I think it will more and more translate into business success. I do see a huge shift toward more of those things that used to be called soft skills that women really know how to do. And I think that the businesses that we are starting and the businesses that we're growing and helping to grow are more focused on that human aspect. And like I said before, I think that AI, if it can take away some of those menial tasks that pull us down and allow us to be more in our creativity, I think that there's really no place that we can't go as women. So I just love everything that you said today. For people that want to get in touch with you, that want to work with you, that want to help support your nonprofit organization and buy your book and all of the good things, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm all over social media. So at Diane Strand, to find out about any of my businesses, you can search with the hashtag JDS Family, and our businesses will come up. You can find me on Spirit of Innovation, Arts Across America TV show. It's across the world and on broadcast locally, and binge networks and all your Amazon fires. But just connect. I love to connect with people and collaborate. And if there's something that we can work on together, whether that be attending something creative like a festival, or seeing a play, or doing any of those things, or just stepping outside that comfort zone, let's talk.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us here today and sharing all of your wisdom. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much.
If this conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently, please take a moment to leave a 5-star rating and review. It's not just about boosting the show, it's about amplifying the voices of women entrepreneurs who are leading with vision, building with purpose, and shaping what's next. We need more of these conversations in the world right now, don't you think? And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who matters to you, send this episode to them. If there's something on your mind about leadership, legacy, or what's next, I want to hear it. Head to sheleadsmedia.com/voice and leave a voice memo or note. Your insight might just help shape a future episode. Make sure to follow the show and come back next week for more conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you so much for listening.
Podcaststhatmatter.org.
This is the She Leads Podcast Network.